Hi everyone, this is the Vegan Carburetor. In today's video, I want to talk about eugenics. A lot of people don't know what this is. It's gone out of fashion. It's just like completely wiped from society for the last few decades until recently. And you might have seen that word this morning on Twitter, because for some reason in the last few years there's been more talk about it. There's been some cable documentaries and the bad history. We'll get into how this started trending on Twitter, and I'll read some comments and explain where the flaws are in these people's thinking. Which brings us to what someone on Twitter said that started this Twitter trend overnight. It was Richard Dawkins who started this about 11 hours ago. You can see how he would start a trend because he's got 2.8 million followers. Now, why does he have so many followers? Well, he's a UK biologist and writer. Science, the Poetry of Reality. And I've heard of him. I think I've seen him on TV. So let's see what he said that started this. And check this out. It's not a big deal even, but people just have this negative view of eugenics. He said, "It's one thing to deplore eugenics on ideological, political, moral grounds." Exactly. Oh, the irony here. He even, almost like he was foreseeing what would happen in the comments. And isn't that always the way? You try to debunk things, mistakes that people make, beliefs that they have, and all you get is those people attacking you, continuing to make the same mistakes, and continue in the same flawed thinking. If we could only eliminate that behavior quality in the human race. To continue his Twitter post, it's quite another to conclude that it won't work in practice. So yeah, maybe that's where the argument is here, whether it would work or not. And he says, of course it would. It works for cows, horses, pigs, dogs, and roses. Why on earth wouldn't it work for humans? Facts ignore ideology. Here's some replies to what Richard has said. Here's one tweet here that goes like this. I mean, the biggest problem with Richard Dawkins' take on eugenics is that he'd probably consider his own traits to be superior, and then the world would be full of insufferable holes. Okay, number one, we wouldn't all have to act like jerks if it weren't for all of you people, deplorable people. For instance, take vegans. Vegans wouldn't have to act the way they do if everyone was vegan. As a matter of fact, we wouldn't even need the word vegan. The entire dispute would be entirely eliminated. Also, traits he'd probably consider superior. Yes, that would be true for just about anyone, but I'll get back to that later. Also, I'd like to point out the way the sentence was started. If you're trying to argue against eugenics, I suggest you don't start your sentences with, I mean. Not only is that not how you start a sentence, those two words weren't even necessary. Another post says, this eugenics crap is so dangerous. Look around at our world. Look at all the dangerous things. We thought the U.S. Constitution was a good thing and would save us from a lot of past mistakes. And now look at where we are. And people just aren't thinking enough. Think about this. We already have eugenic-like things going on in the world. People find ways of altering the genetic future of humanity. For instance, the police practice of stop and frisk could be considered eugenics against black people because it interferes with their lives. They get a police record, do jail time. They're less likely to have kids. And all this stuff against black people cuts down on the number of black people there will be in the future. And a bunch of our politicians were for that, and they started that. And that happened in a society that's against eugenics. We got a better way of doing things. The popular vote puts in these leaders. They're accountable, checks and balances, all that stuff. Look what they're doing. So I'm just saying we need some good eugenics. It goes on. In the U.S., it led to forced sterilizations of women in the South. definitely agree with that one. But not because of black people. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of black people. I was thinking about those fat white women, Trump heads. They are what have ruined everything and are just ruining the Constitution. Everything is gone. The U.S. is gone now. And as I said a few weeks back in one of my videos, bad people, sociopaths, they're so popular, there are now enough of them because they've procreated that they are now dominating our culture and being able to vote to create a deplorable government that will just ignore the rules and the laws. And he says it's dangerous. Well, how is this dangerous? It's just sterilization. Harley is sterilized. I've never heard of that being dangerous. Matter of fact, it's actually recommended for men, that is. Get your balls clipped. It's good. It's good. That's actually recommended. The tweet goes on. This is often done against their wills. Well, you make it sound bad there, but think about this. Everyone in the world does things against their will or is restricted from doing what they want to do with 1 million laws on the books. Every time you stop at a stoplight, you're doing so against your will, but it's for your own good. So, and that's the tweet. That's all this guy said. And he's got nothing. Looking up eugenics, doing a Google search, we get this. Theory and practice of improving the genetic quality of the human population through selective breeding. Eugenics is a set of beliefs and practices that aim to improve the genetic quality of the human population by excluding certain genetic groups judged to be inferior. Yeah, we'll get into that. Now, eugenics has been used in the past before civilization got woke to it because, as you can probably imagine, eugenics was used in ways that were not very good and probably used by just bad people. Oh yeah, people who wanted to remove certain actual races, and the thinking was that these races are the problem, the color of your skin, but I'm not talking about that. So let's move on here. There was someone I know on Twitter and respect who commented on this. Dr. Eugene, I don't know how that's pronounced though. He's pretty popular too. He says, eugenics does not create superior species. So I guess he's disagreeing with Dawkins. We turned mighty buffalo herds roaming the plains into those factory-farmed cows, the independent stallion into a pony, and the wild boar into a pig. We weaken the gene pool. Well, I say that I think that was done on purpose in those 3 examples, and so it was actually successful. You know, people like the cows, obviously. They've been used for a long time, and humanity doesn't want to get rid of these cows, even though they're causing global warming, which is making life miserable for people and could threaten life as we know it. And the independent stallion, they were independent, and so they weren't any use to us. We created ponies out of them to use them for our needs, which worked. It's strange that this guy that I respect here, who often does great tweets and responses, it's strange that he's making this case. He says we weaken the gene pool. Well, we did that on purpose with those animals. That shows it can be successful. Just as you can weaken the gene pool, you can also strengthen it. Why can't it work both ways? It's like Dawkins said, it's ridiculous to suggest it can't work both ways. Oh, wait, and at the end here he says, we weaken the gene pool, selecting for traits desirable for us, but not for the subject. Yeah. But what's he talking about here? Is he talking about different races? Is he suggesting that we would end up weakening the black gene pool? Well, we don't have to. Of course, if this gets in the hand of those white, I don't want to use certain words. Well, I'm going to be unmonetized anyway, aren't I? Just for using the E word. Which reminds me, you may have noticed something that you don't understand. You're probably wondering what Eugenie Gu has to do with this, and if her name is somehow connected here. A few months back, I did notice that Eugenia's name, each letter is the exact same as the word eugenics until the very last letter. Now, I guess that's just a coincidence. Or is it? Well, it could still hurt my channel because my videos are getting unmonetized right away. Oh, and I'm having that notification problem again. But you know what I'm getting at. We just can't have this in the wrong hands. Oh, but look. We had the Constitution in the wrong hands. And see, something good ended up being bad. So he says, in 2020, and so-called reputable people are on here openly discussing the practicality of the white supremes' ideology, eugenics. Now see, just because the whiteys took this a while back at a certain point in history where they could get away with it, that doesn't mean the whole practice is bad. We just need to use it in the right way. We need to have it in the right hands. But as some people pointed out, who is to decide? Is Richard Dawkins to decide? Well, I'd rather put it in his hands than anyone with the last name of Trump. But look what's happened. Those people are in power now because we let the human gene pool, we let it get out of hand. And now we have way too many deplorable people that voted him in. We let this go. We let all these trash people procreate as much as they wanted to, and sometimes they procreate so much to create more of themselves just so they can dominate humanity. And now we're in some serious trouble. And so what are we going to do? Well, because with the United States, because we're so woke here to all these things, we're not going to do anything because we got freedom, and it's freedom that's destroying us. All I'm talking about here is getting a handle on what I have observed here. These people with sociopathic personality, those are the people that just don't care about others and just laugh at other people's misery. We've been seeing that a lot in the last 3 years. This trait seems to be more common all the time. And it's now ruining things. In a very short period of time, we're seeing this. What is things going to be like in the future? And feminism is also taking part in ruining what we had. Humanity was on a good trend going there for the last 500 years. We were evolving, it looked like. Feminism, just allowing women to procreate with the worst men, which is the ones they find most attractive. I'm not talking about forced insemination here, but I think the reason why humans were evolving is because the more decent people were able to procreate. And what I've noticed is those people tend to be less attractive, which is why I think there's so many unattractive people that are in the world today. But now, these people are no longer procreating. I was just thinking about Ivanka. She only married a beta because he's super rich. But I'm thinking, they don't have kids, do they? Anyway, this video's gone pretty long now. Okay, if you want to continue this conversation, leave a comment below. I read all my comments and rate this video thumbs up or down. And check out my other 900 videos. I'm all over the map. So while my other videos are not about eugenics, they have the same type of ingenious, big thinking.
I can't stop thinking big. I can't stop thinking big. And well, I feel so small. I can't stop thinking.